think we'll go ahead. People are still coming in the door some. But if we don't get started, we'll never get finished. And it's very important all of us get finished in time. I guess I'm the designated prayer, so let's begin in prayer. Lord of heaven and earth, our source of all love and life, you bless us every day in every way, beyond ways that we're even conscious. We ask not that we might have more, but that we might appreciate more what we have. Help us to learn how to appreciate by sharing. To be more like you, that it doubles in value when we give it away. When we just keep it to ourselves, it's good for us. But it doubles when we share it with others. Bless each person here this evening. The high investment they have in our parish and in our school, and for the benefit of their children. Help them to be effective parents, to know how to feed their children what they most need, what will last them through life even after they're gone. We thank you for all the ways you blessed us. We thank you for the gift of our parish and others who work hard to make this a good place to be, and that draws us here. We thank you and bless you through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you for coming. It's very important that you're here. Appreciate you coming. It's this is what makes it. We're very blessed here at St. Elizabeth's these days. People mention the church looks pretty full these days. Pews are filling up. Wonderful, that's right. It's a gift from God. We do appreciate it. It's also a responsibility. We have 18 people in our catechumenate knocking on our door, wanting to join us in our faith walk. Wonderful. We've been registering about 4 to 8 people per month. In the last year, that mounts up real fast. That's a wonderful gift and opportunity. We're baptizing a number of little babies. We're being blessed in many ways. People are feeling drawn here that maybe this is where they belong, where they can find life, find community, find, well, like Cheers. Everybody knows my name. And that always counts. That's very important, but also it is a responsibility. To these people who are coming, we need to be able to serve them well, have something here for them. And our staff is stretched as far as our staff can go. So we're thinking about, can we add staff? And that's our desire, that's our hope. Does that mean another priest? It could be, with the ordinations coming up. There's 6 of them. There would be a pretty good chance one might come here, or else perhaps a pastoral associate. But somebody to help us to plug people in and to reach out and to not let them just sign up and that's it. So there is this matter of responsibility, of stewardship, being stewards of the gifts that God gives us. More people coming is a gift. We need to be responsible, knowing how to reach out and share those gifts and to make a wider umbrella for everybody to fit under. We also, though, we ask you to be stewards of God's gifts to you as a family, sharing your time and your talent, your treasures. But at the same time, we as a parish need to be doing that. If we ask you to share your gifts with us for the common good, for the greater good, we as a parish need to be doing that too. And that is happening. Thanks be to God. We do that in various ways. Most recently, St. Vincent de Paul is growing. And in many ways, we've been blessed with monetarily, generosity, but then there's also hands that are needed to reach out. So we aren't just here for ourselves. We're dead in the water if we're going to be just here for ourselves. We have to not just be for ourselves, but to reach beyond to others, beyond our community, not just for ourselves. And so yes, that's in the process of growing. Through our second collections, we also hand those on rather than keep them to ourselves, to others who are more needy out of the country, in other parts of the diocese that aren't blessed in the same ways we are. We've got to do that. That's for life. We die if we keep it to ourselves. We stay alive and vital as much as to the degree that we share and give. So that's, we're doing that, and that's very good news. I was in the second grade classroom a couple weeks ago during, or maybe right after Catholic Schools Week. Children are wonderful. I love your kids, especially they're your kids. I can enjoy them, and then I gotta go home now. It sure has been nice. But no, I love being with your kids. They're wonderful. They really, I get energized just by being around them. Particularly if I'm, kind of droopy or something, I go with preschool. Those kids are just full of life. It's catchy. But anyway, I was asking second grade kids at Catholic schools time, what do you get here at St. Elizabeth's school that you wouldn't get if you were in public school? Your parents are making big sacrifices for you to be here. What do you get here? One little child says, we can pray. Yes. We can talk about God. Yes. You got it. They get it. And we can talk about service. Yes, that's us too. It's wonderful. They get right to the core and they get the content of it right away. Those are the gifts we have. Now, they know that. They don't know the degree of importance that is, but you do, or you wouldn't have them here. You make sacrifices so that you can provide these things that they couldn't get elsewhere. Thank you. God bless you.
My name is Jennifer Prussia, and I'm the chairperson of the parish council. And I'll ask Joe, a few slides are going to go through, and these names are published other places too. You can go ahead. I just wanted to introduce the members of the school board, the finance committee, and the parish council, those who give up their time and contribute their expertise to help in leadership in the parish. So I'll ask members of those three committees to stand, please. So these are your people. Go to them if you need something. And I'm also responsible for reporting on the parish council and the parish council goals for this year. And they include, first of all, staff support. As Father mentioned, we would like to add, we've addressed this over the last year to year and a half in council meetings, and just working on ways to support the staff, and that's a very broad term, but support the staff, find additional ways to work toward, or find something to work toward while living within our means. So, as Father said, we may get an associate pastor. We'd also like to add a pastoral associate in the future. And we've worked with the finance committee and made it known to them that we want to try to add a position like that. We have added Katie Mitchell as the new secretary on the staff, and that's very exciting. And I'm the associate pastor. So that's the update on that. Just kind of in progress. A lot of this is in progress, but we do work hard on it. A facilities committee or process, just uniting all the different groups out there or individuals out there who are involved and have some a stakeholder in the facilities that we have. There's a lot to keep up with, and we're really just in the middle of that and having conversations and determining the best process or way to make sure everyone's on the same page. And the good news is we know there's lots of dedicated people, lots of people dedicated to this. So the conversations are just continuing right now. You know, we'll report on that when we have something to report. It'll probably be in the bulletin. The ministry audit is really exciting. It's going pretty well. And what we're doing is we're looking at all the ministries we provide and determining how they're supported by volunteers or staff and how they help our parish support the 4 pillars of stewardship. Another goal was outreach to singles, and the current focus is on energizing and re-energizing the young active parishioners. And those people in that group may or may not be single, but it's a good place to start. And right now we're focusing on those in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. And we'll also plan to develop ministries for people in their 50s and older. And you can be single for a lot of reasons, so it's kind of a big, broad thing to take on, but we know that group of people is important, and they can find friendship, they can find a place here at a church. So we know that developing ministries to reach out to singles is important. And then the communications and website, the communications committee is forming as a subcommittee of the parish council, and we're right now determining structure and leadership for that committee and laying some groundwork, some kind of low-hanging fruit that committee's working on as well. And then we have a website RFP that we expect to be delivered soon, and we'll turn that around, gather bids, and hopefully be implementing a new website very soon. Father mentioned also St. Vincent de Paul, and one of our broad goal was to find ways to add opportunities for community service for adults here in the parish. And St. Vincent de Paul is just a great example of this. They've restructured, they give us as adults, the kids, it's easy for Girl Scouts to do stuff, and the school kids, you know, it's easy to plug in if you're a kid, or even if you're a parent or a leader or something of a scout troop or a teacher. But for adults, the St. Vincent de Paul is a very easy way for us to plug in and be able to serve our greater community. The need increased, it almost doubled within a year, meaning people who live within our parish boundaries were coming to us twice as many people or twice as often, and they were able to meet that. And they made improvements to the pantry recently. They've added freezers, so if you can donate like meal-sized portions of meat or bread or things like that, they can take that type of thing now. One thing that they are starting that's very exciting is the St. E's Service Corps, and this would be a group of volunteers who are trained to go out into our community and find, assess the needs out there, interview people, look at things, assess needs, and then also volunteers with the skills to help address those needs. So that is an update on what the parish council's been doing. I mentioned the 4 pillars of stewardship, and I just wanted to address that what we want our ministries to affect these 4 pillars, and I just put a couple examples under each one: prayer, formation, service, and hospitality. So we just want to make sure we're balanced. We want to make sure that we're offering everything that a person who's coming to us or our current parishioners would need in their faith life and their faith journey. And then we also, I know you can't read this, I'm not supposed to, it'll be on the website. This is an update in the parish organization chart, or a new version. Basically, we've had a lot of rearranging and some new committees and things formed, so we just wanted to make sure you knew how your parish worked, and you knew where you can plug in or who to go to, and you know how everything works, because there is a plan. Okay, and then the next one. You have, this is the back of the handout that you have on your your seats. And it just kind of shows you a good summary of our numbers and activities. And one thing that it occurred to me when I looked at it was that it shows that I believe we're a wealthy parish. But no matter what the numbers would have been on this sheet, we should always consider ourselves gifted and blessed. And then I considered, what's the source of this wealth? What's the source of our parish's wealth? And it comes from all of you right here in this room, and what you contribute in time, expertise, money, and most importantly, in prayer. If you think about it, every day, someone here is praying. In Mass, in school, in a small faith group, in a church prayer group, at home. And then when so many of us are calling the Holy Spirit into our midst, we can't help but be successful. Now I'd like to introduce Andy tonight.
Good evening. Appreciate y'all being here. My name is Andy Crimmins. I've had the pleasure of being the president of the school board this past year, serving with just a terrific group of people. It truly has been an honor, and working with Pat, Carrie, Vicki Kinney, Joe Abishon, obviously Father Bruce. But it really has been an honor, and it's been a lot of fun. And before I get started, and I will be brief, I promise. We had our fall open school board meeting that the school board did an awesome job of preparing for. And we had 9 people. So it's great to see everybody here. And I'm sure it has nothing to do with the registration packets happening. But honestly, just again, want to thank everybody. My wife and I, we have 2 daughters who go to school here. We started our school search about 10 years ago after we moved to Kansas City, and I think the decision to come to St. Elizabeth's was probably the best decision that I think we could have made. I think there's so many people in this room that do volunteer their time in so many different capacities, and it's just a really an amazing community. And I look around here and I see a lot of my best friends here, so it's good to see everybody. Real quick, what we're going to do, we're going to just touch on some of the school board goals for this year. We wanted to try to have some goals that were pretty measurable, that we could sustainable over time. Some of these goals obviously are going to continue on. But one of the key things that we really wanted to focus on that Jim Lennox is going to be speaking to is on the school communication. One of the things, obviously, is with the survey that I think hopefully a lot of you have seen, and hopefully a lot of you have spent literally 5 minutes a month just kind of, letting us know what your thoughts are on the different things. I'm not going to steal Jim's thunder on that. But that's obviously a very important tool that we've been working on. Jim's been working on a lot of other volunteers as well. We wanted to, obviously this is going to be an ongoing goal for the parish, for the school, but for adjusted tuition. Obviously, adjusted tuition is one of those things that you want to get that down as low as possible. But, the most important thing is that we're fiscally responsible in doing things that are going to, for the longevity of the school, making the decisions that includes the school board, includes the finance council, includes the parish council, and a lot of others as well. So we'll be talking about that also. One of the things that we have not done yet is we wanted to have an electronic payment system for those people that wanted to pay adjusted tuition that way, or tuition, what have you. One of the things a couple months ago in the survey, one of the questions was, how important would this be to you? And we got some kind of marginal feedback, so we kind of put that down the list a little bit. But if that is something important, it might be easier for Vicki and the people in the school to handle. If there was a fee with that, would it be $3 a transaction? Something, we don't know. But if that's something, that is important, let us know. And then obviously evaluating the current facilities, that is something that is ongoing. If you look at that handout, or what will be on Sycamore as well, but on the different things that have gone on for all the facilities this year, with it, be it roofs, be it painting, be it bathrooms, grease traps, what have you. Those are things that we've had some deferred maintenance over the years that we've been, trying to get on top of, and I think have been doing a really good job doing that. And then lastly is developing and implementing a 3-year technology plan, which obviously there was a lot of people. I see Glenn back there was very involved in that. But that is something that I think it used to be on Sycamore. I don't know if it still is, but that is something that was accomplished. And again, my name is Adi Crimmins. I'll be around afterwards if anybody has questions or comments. Just let me know, and I'll turn it over to Jim.
Hi, everybody. I bet you mostly all know now that I'm Pat Kolash, and I'm the principal here at St. Elizabeth's. Andy mentioned the survey, and I hope that you know that Jim Lennox really worked very hard to develop a good tool, and he spent many hours trying to explain it to all of us. But here's the great thing about it. Last year, my first year, I was watching a lot. I was observing. This year, I really wanted to listen. And the survey is a good way to help me listen. So the phrase has been coined, leading with our ears, and so that's what we'd really kind of like to focus on, listening to what our community says, and then making some decisions in that based on those thoughts. So from that input, I can tell you that I really, truly do, it provides me information that helps me build decisions and chart new directions, all with the purpose of maintaining our Christ-centered and child-focused environment. The school board, and in particular Jim, really helped make this goal a reality. So even though it's the same survey month after month, it's because it's a, tell me what the words are again. A loyalty number. It really is a beneficial tool. We contact everybody who gives us their name, and so it's a really good way for me to know what you're thinking about. As you can see here, we have a wonderful staff. They're a good-looking group of people, and they're also very talented. This year, as models of lifelong learners, our teachers have been participating in a year-long book study of Tools for Teaching by Dr. Fred Jones. Our study focuses on classroom management and teaching strategies. These efforts reflect our goal to provide a consistent and quality atmosphere for learning. Our teachers have also participated in several different professional learning opportunities with topics such as technology in the classroom, the use of the Promethean and smart boards, writing curriculum and strategies, early intervention strategies, and differentiated instruction, along with some special needs classes on autism, Asperger's, and Down syndrome. During this current school year, we have introduced handwriting curriculum for our pre-K through 4th grade students. Brain-based education has long been a guiding element of the curriculum here at St. Elizabeth's, and much evidence has arisen about the enhanced ability to study the brain. And we know now that the physical act of writing engages the brain in significant ways that are not seen with other forms of writing, such as keyboarding or dictation. The skill of writing is highly correlated to fluency in language production, as it serves as a significant enhancement to memory for many learners. We are also working to develop a comprehensive reading and language arts program in primary grades, as well as providing a rigorous skill practice and high expectations of grammar and vocabulary work in our junior high. To accomplish this task, we are working on creating a continuum of writing practices with expectations from kindergarten through the 8th grade. Along with this focus, we are going to be looking at test results, student achievement, and how they compare to state standards, which are now referred to as Common Core. As we analyze this data, we can make informed decisions about textbooks and other resources, classroom practices that ensure our students have access to both the instruction and the practice that is needed to increase proficiency. We're also working to transition from a computer lab-based technology focus to using technology as a classroom teaching tool. This shift will require planning, professional development, and technology support. We are really blessed currently with a variety of technology tools. Some of those include computers in every classroom, interactive whiteboards in grades 2 through 8, iPads in first grade, a mini lab with a smartboard in the ECC. Future plans include the update of the computer lab, a review of and the need for an additional computer cart or an iPad cart, along with the application of online textbooks or a multimedia-based school library. All these things are being discussed by our Math, Science, and Technology Committee, the CPTA, and the school board. All of this progress in the area of technology must also include informed and purposeful usage. Technology is certainly a teaching tool, and it's going to be part of our future, but it should not override our understanding of child development and the need to instill fundamental learning skills and concepts. We strongly recognize the importance of relationship in our work with the students and their families, and this will never be replaced by any technology tool or application. And then we have our terrific kids. One area that's been a school focus this year is the Schools of Service. We're encouraging each student to perform 50 hours of community service for our goal of reaching the Presidential Service Award as a school. But we're not alone in this endeavor because we have our wonderful Stewardship and Development Director, Carrie Mattern, helping us out. Carrie is leading our school students in a Schools of Service curriculum, sharing lessons on stewardship through stories and class projects. We also have a school services coordinator, who's another wonderful parish volunteer and school mom, Gina Gurka. And so if you have questions about service, those would be two gals you could talk to. Our students this year also share their academic talents. For the first time, we hosted a math night for our kindergarten, first grade, and second grade students. And another fun event coming up is our science night. It'll be a little bit different than our math night, but students will have displays and experiments, and we'll have an entertaining presentation by Mr. Wizard. Students are participating in many community building opportunities with student retreats and extracurricular activities, especially our wonderful student-led masses. We, of course, hold the teaching and the celebration of our Catholic faith to be our greatest gift and calling. We are committed to this mission and are proud to represent the community of St. Elizabeth in its 90th year of excellence. We thank you for your support and prayers. We are truly blessed by the leadership of Father Bruce and our devoted parish and school families. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hi, my name is Sharon Lester, and I'm this year's president for the CPTA. I just want to take a few minutes tonight to let you know what the CPTA is about and what we've been working on. First, our mission or purpose is threefold. We support the school with volunteers and teacher and staff appreciation, and this includes $20,000 that was given out as teacher and staff bonuses at Christmas time, and this was raised through our restaurant nights and generous contributions by our parents to the Teachers Christmas Fund. We also build community through events that include things like trunk or treat, ice cream social, and our gathering parties for the auction. And then we do fundraising to support the school. As far as fundraising is concerned, we start each year with a budget plan and we post this to Sycamore. And this year our profit goal is $132,500. Of course, we need a lot of help to reach that goal. I want to thank all of you that support our fundraisers, and that includes 98% of our school families and a lot of those in our parish community. There are many ways you can help us with our fundraising efforts, and some are pretty easy. Rebates and recycling includes things like clipping box tops and labels for education. We take in used ink and toner cartridges, so if you have a small office or just from your home, we can make money off of those. We do paper recycling. That means newspapers, catalogs, junk mail, and those can be dropped off at the green and yellow bins in the school driveway. Purchasing script gift cards. is another way to help. Those are available after most masses or through the school office, and you can even order online. We make a % off of each card sold. Trash bag sale. Our big push is in the fall, but we do sell trash bags all year round. We keep a bin stocked with trash bags up near the school entrance, and then there's a drop box where you can leave your payment. And then the candy sale is just wrapping up. And then last but not least is our annual auction and casino night, which is April 28th. Please consider attending, bringing friends. Our theme this year is Under the Big Top, and your auction ticket includes all you can eat and drink, and the opportunity to bid on a lot of fabulous items. We also have a live band this year called Cherry Bomb for entertainment. Everyone in the parish is invited, and it's always a very fun evening, so I hope that you will join us. Thank you for your time. Our next speaker is Vicki Kenny, our parish business manager. I'm sure you have a few numbers.
Probably a few more than you really want to hear, but I'll try to keep it summarized. I'm basically going to talk about the financial results for the first 6 months of our budget year, which runs from July 1 through the end of June. The 6 months results were also in the bulletin a couple of weeks ago as a handout, and they are posted on the parish website. Overall, our net income at the end of December is $35,230. For the first 6 months, contribution income from tithing has been consistent, and although we're ahead of last year, we're just a little bit under where we budgeted to be at the end of December. The next 6 months, which end in June, are typically not as strong as the first 6, so it's just important that we all continue with our consistency so we can meet the budget commitment. Meeting the budget would represent a 5% increase in contribution income over last year. Other income areas are also staying within budget. For example, each year we budget $20,000 for donations that we receive from wills. This year, in the first 6 months, we've received a single bequest in the amount of $50,000. For the school income, the administration has done a really good job of evaluating the preschool, the extended care, and the summer programs, and making small changes where they can to increase the income that goes to the school. The Heritage Fund donations also directly benefit the school budget. Expenses for personnel, which is our biggest expense, and other general expenses also are on budget. In facilities and utilities, we are over budget by approximately $56,000, and as Andy discussed earlier, part of that is due to, like all of you, our water and electric bills have gone up. But also, during the past 3 years with the net losses, there haven't been a lot of opportunities for significant replacements. This year, there was a need to replace the school roof, which had exceeded its lifespan, and to also make some other repairs and improvements. There's also been maintenance programs put in place that have increased the reliability, the efficiency, and hopefully the future life of our major mechanical systems, and also have improved the comfort level in a lot of our environments. The graph that you've all been looking at shows that for the last 3 years, we've had declining income, represented by the green line. Last year, in June, at the end of the year, we finally made those lines come together again for a near break-even result. And over these first 6 months indicate we could finish this year with a positive result and continue the upward trend. We want to thank each one of you for your efforts in making it possible. We are also fortunate to have leaders and committees who have wisely avoided debt and kept us living within our means. Not always the most popular decision, but it has gotten us through the last 3 years. We are starting to evaluate for next year already. Part of that process is looking at our expenses. We know that personnel, our biggest expense, as well as employee benefits, insurance, and utilities will certainly go up. We're looking at all of our other expenses in an effort to offset these increases where we can. We've recently changed our phone service provider and internet service provider and lowered our monthly expense. And we're going to be looking at all of our expenses that we have control over to make those kind of changes. The next part of my discussion has to do with the registration fees, the tuition, and the adjusted tuition that have been determined for next year. Our tuition amount for non-parish families was evaluated and compared with the cost per pupil amount of $5,750. The rates for next year, which are shown up there under St. Elizabeth, represent just under a 5% increase. We've included the tuition rates for the other parish schools in our area, and our goal is to always have a good value for our non-parish school families. They're important to our school, and it's part of our school mission to provide a quality Catholic education at an affordable cost to the community we serve. Registration fees were reviewed and will be $500 per student next year. These fees have been $475 the last 2 years, but historically we have looked at those and increased them each year. These fees go directly to the school budget and help them do all the good things they're able to do. The adjusted tuition amount, which was established last year as part of the diocesan strategic plan, has also been reevaluated. The computation is from the diocesan school office. It basically looks at all the school direct income and other funding, including the parish subsidy, and compares it to the school expenses and a reserve for budget contingencies. The net result is divided by the number of students, and voila, the adjusted tuition. The calculation for next year will remain at $300. The results were reviewed and discussed by the Finance Committee, the school board, the principal, and the pastor, and this was a unanimous and much thought about decision. The calculation is based on the most current 12-month period, which is January to December 2011. The positive news that it's a stable result. It could have, had we continued on that downward trend with income, it could have gone up. I think it reflects the fact that we're near break even in June. Our results are positive through this period. It's hard to recover from 3 years like we've had in a 12-month period. The first calculation was just done 12 months ago. I think all of these upward trends indicate that we're well on our way to decreasing adjusted tuition over time. There was a lot of time and thoughtful evaluation surrounding setting these amounts for this year. It wasn't taken lightly. All involved are aware that there are families in our community who are still struggling after a tough 3 years. We encourage you to contact Father Bruce or myself if there are hardships, and we will definitely work with you. Finally, thank you for all you do to support St. Elizabeth's Parish and School. It takes all of us to make it happen. And now I'll turn it over to Carrie Madden.
Was that enough financial data? I mean, my head hurts when I hear all of that. Luckily, we have a somebody who's sharing their time and talent tonight. Mr. Dan Westra, who's a fellow third grade parent, is videotaping this for us. I'm so excited I'm going to be on camera. And that way, because what we found with these meetings is a lot of times you hear it, but it's so much information that you take it home and you're like, wait, what did they say about that? So it'll be on the website. We're going to get it up there as soon as we can. It's also, I know my husband's not here tonight, although he kind of knows all about this stuff. And so for spouses who weren't able to make it, you'll be able to do that as well. Dan has told me that he will Photoshop my image, so thank you. I appreciate that. Just to reiterate what some people have said tonight is, in a lot of meetings that I've sat in over the last year, especially around all of the decisions that have been made, one thing that is consistent across the board is that these committees are low on personal agenda and high on collaboration. When these decisions are made, it's made with every single parishioner, every single member of this community, whether you're a tuition-paying family, whether you have kids in the school, don't have kids in the school, everybody is taken into consideration. It has been inspiring, not to be cheesy, but it's been inspiring and very humbling to be in the presence of all these people as these decisions are being made. We are very blessed with a lot of talent here. And we talk about it takes all of us, and it truly does. So it's been an honor to work with all of you over the past year for sure. So when I first heard that adjusted tuition, obviously in my job I have an invested interest in that. When I heard that it probably wasn't going to be going down, I'm going, what are you talking about? No. So I started asking a lot of questions. They've all been answered in what Vicki has shared with you tonight. A couple things just to point out or to emphasize, elaborate on is, as far as the adjusted tuition, like Vicki said, it's a formula that the diocese gives us. We put the numbers in, it spits the number out. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room there. So you might be asking, if we're trending so well, how come that number didn't go down? Really what it comes down to is a lot of you, the majority of you, your contributions absolutely went up over this past year. When I heard that basically our tithing income did not match what the pledged income was, we had a huge increase in pledge from year to year. The income hasn't quite matched that yet. And so then of course I'm going to analyze the data and look at it and find out what's going on there. When I looked at it, like I said, the majority of people very generously increased their pledge and their subsequent contribution. Of the people who their contributions went down, for the most part, you're looking at people who are going through hardships. They're going through changes of life, whether that's retirement, divorce, illness, unemployment. So that takes it into consideration. This is also a wonderful time to remind everybody that pledges don't pay the bills. Money pays the bills. So if you are behind on your pledge, please take a look at that and make sure that you're getting it caught up as soon as you can. It only helps all of us to make sure that cash flow is going on. And to reiterate, if there is a hardship, Father always says, don't hide under a rock, come and talk to us. We're here to support one another. If you're going through a hard time, that's why stewardship is here, so that we can support one another. So that's basically, we need the tithing to keep continuing that upward trend. Good news, like Vicki said, these are better numbers than we've seen in a long time. Vicki just got a report from the diocese. They asked the parishes to share their contribution income June through December, is that correct? Right. Or July through December? And of the 66 parishes that reported, 39 of them had a decrease in contributions. We're not one of those. So this is heading in the right direction. Like Vicki said, you can't take 3 years of downward and just expect in 1 year for it to go the other way. It takes consistent, faithful commitment from everybody in our community. Certain expenses that don't go away. I kind of appreciate that I get a salary. That's our biggest chunk. That's not a number we can really move all that much. My salary? My salary is the biggest chunk. Your entire time goes to me. My husband doesn't work anymore. He takes that. Oh my gosh, you will love to hear that story. When it comes down to it, if you look at it, so on the average, our income or our expenses go up on an average about 3% a year. That's just on an average. If you look at that in relation to your own personal tithe or your financial commitment, you realize that if you break that down weekly, the number is not as scary as you would think it would be. In fact, for most people in this audience, for most people in our community, depending on what your current tithing level is, you're looking at $2 to $10 a week. Now, I'm thinking, my car has veered towards that orange leaf quite a few times in the last couple weeks. I'm thinking I could skip that a couple times and instead funnel that money to the church. So what we're talking about is little, smaller increases from everybody, but together makes a big difference. So now, I was hired a year ago to increase levels of giving across the parish, time, talent, and treasure. There's lots of things that can affect that. There's lots of things that can improve that. I did my research, looked at what we were already doing, implemented some things that we could do to improve with the help of the staff, the Stewardship and Development Committee, and honestly, any volunteer who was willing to give their time to me. However, there's really one thing that can make or break any stewardship program, and that is faith. And that comes in many forms. First and foremost, faith and trust that we are doing the best we can do to steward your current gifts of time, talent, and treasure. I I think after you sit here and listen to this, there's a level of confidence there that that is being done. I could not stand up here personally and continue to ask you to give and to increase your giving if I didn't personally believe that from the top down, that is absolutely the commitment to make sure we're stewarding that well. So it takes faith and trust on your part in all of us who are helping to make these decisions. This one is a faith that God will provide. Now, we all know that stewardship means that you're supposed to share your gifts. Real, true stewardship calls you to give of your first fruits, not what's left over after you've taken care of everything else. That's hard to get your head around. It's hard for all of us to get our head around that. Great story, right here in our parish. Got a call right before Christmas from one of our parishioners. She says, Carrie, and this is via voicemail, and she says, Carrie, my husband lost his job. We're going to have to lower our tithe. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that makes sense, you know. So I leave her a message, and I say, first of all, we're praying for you. I hope you're doing okay. Sure, it's a hard time. Second of all, you need to just prayerfully consider what that number might change to. That number is really not between you and I, or Father, or Vicki, or the Finance Committee. That number is between you and God. So I want you to pray about it. Let me know. We'll just change it in the computer. So she stops me at Coffee and Donuts a couple weeks later. And of course, if you've seen me, this is about as still as I stand at any given time. In fact, it's kind of remarkable that I'm still standing. I'm always running. And so she goes, Carrie, I gotta tell you. And I said, I already told you. Don't worry about it. Just tell me the number. It'll be fine. And she said, no, would you stop for a second and let me tell you this? And I said, okay. She said, I thought about it. I prayed about it. And I struggled with it. And I just decided that I couldn't do it. I couldn't lower it. I just didn't feel right about it. And I know that's going to put us in a hard financial position. And I know that that's going to be challenging, but I just felt like I shouldn't lower it. I said, okay, great. Of course, I'm sitting there like, okay, good. I said, stuff I have to do. She goes, hold on. I said, okay. The very next day, she received a check, a fairly sizable check, from a fellow parishioner who knew that they were going through a hard time. Now, I'm not saying that I have parishioners lined up waiting to give you checks if you decide not to go over time, but that takes faith. You have to have faith that God is going to provide, and that develops over time. Finally, we've had a lot of stories about the teamwork that it takes to make all this happen. And to read really quick, this is a homily that one of the priest who married Terry and I gave. He put them all into a book. I read them every day. And this is called Filling In. A few years ago, 9 variously handicapped people climbed Mount Rainier. One of the mountain climbers had a prosthetic leg. 2 were deaf, 1 suffered from severe epilepsy, and 5 were blind. Although Mount Rainier is 14,000 feet high, these 9 people successfully, just had an iPad malfunction, made it to the top of the mountain and back down again. Asked how in the world they had been able to do such a thing, one of the blind members of the team said, "We had a lot of help from each other on the trip. No one can conquer a mountain alone." Another member of the team said, "Once we all admitted that we had some limitations, we each promised to fill in for each other, whatever each one needed. With all of us filling in for each other, we made a great team." Finally, one of the team members said, "Climbing a mountain or living life, we all need each other because whether you realize it or not, every one of us has limitations, and because of that, you can't negotiate mountains or life very well on your own. Admitting our limitations and reaching out for help are important steps in overcoming mountain life difficulties. Sometimes we need others to fill in for us, and sometimes we are needed to fill in for others. But filling in is what levels even the highest of the mountains. And I think that couldn't be more true. We even read that at our staff meeting today, because in a small staff, you need to fill in for each other for sure. We all see these examples on a daily basis. Not going to go into a ton of detail, but you all know that there was a father who passed away from our one of our 3rd grade fathers last week, David Fadden. And he was a great guy if you ever met him, very down to earth, very unassuming, and he was a hardworking single parent. It would have been easy to judge him from the outside and say, where is he? Why isn't he here more? Is he really doing his part? And this is where the faith comes in, that we're all doing our part. Because he even shared with Father Bruce that he wished he could do more, but he was doing all he could just to provide for himself and his son. That is really what the stewardship is all about, is that you give what you can, when you can, and when you can give more, you give more. Lots of things about the Memorial Mass were incredible and fun. Believe it or not. I mean, Devin, it was great. Don't want to get too emotional, so I'll skip over some parts. Basically, I got back to my office and I was pretty emotional. I'm kind of a crier, so that's no surprise. But I really thought about it, and I thought, why am I so emotional about this? Because I really didn't know David all that well. And what I realized is that just in light of knowing that this talk was coming up and thinking about what I was going to say, it was just the fact that everybody involved in that day had just given so selflessly, without question, just stepped in, filled in exactly where they were needed most. And everyone quite literally became Christ for one another. I can sing that church song if you want. You know, we are called, we are chosen, we are Christ for one another. Okay, so, but that is what we're called to do. We are called to be Christ for one another. And that is what we're called to do every time we receive the Eucharist, and it was happening at a Eucharistic celebration. It really kind of brought it all full circle and all together. And that was pretty overwhelming when you kind of think about it. So, to paraphrase Matt Fruscia, at a meeting we were at once, he goes, that's kind of good stuff right there. It is good stuff. So, it's this faith that motivates us not just to meet our current needs, like paying the light bills and lowering adjusted tuition. That's important, but it's only a small part of the bigger picture. Just by being in this community, we are called to a greater purpose, something much greater than ourselves. No one person can climb this mountain alone and perpetuate the mission of this church. We need all of us. You should have received a letter from Father Bruce if you're a parishioner with a commitment card. The financial part of the commitment card already has your name and address on it. That helps us to process them when we get them back in the office. The time and talent form lists all of the ministries. We have a ministry fair this weekend, so if you have questions about the ministry, you can go there. All these forms are online. If you're still not sure where you want to volunteer, we did a ministry questionnaire, which asks you a bunch of different questions about your interests, your time availability, things like that, so that you can answer those questions. We take a look at those, make some ministry suggestions for you. And our goal is that as many of you return those on Sunday as possible, Saturday or Sunday. I know that seems like quick turnaround time, but I just ask for that you prayerfully discern how you will fill in with our community. When I say that to new parishioners, they kind of look at me like, prayerfully discern? Okay, basically two things you can think of. One, how much do you value St. Elizabeth? How much do you value what we're doing here? I don't say that from a judgmental place. I say that from a question that only you can answer. The other thing is, there's a quote that I now have memorized that says, if you're at peace with the size of your gift, if you don't find yourself making excuses for it, and if you've been completely honest with God and yourself, your gift is the right size. You have to think about it. You have to spend some time thinking about it. So I ask that over the next couple days you do that. We have a lot of people here who can answer any questions you might have. But I thank you. This community has blessed our life. In fact, yesterday we dropped our daughter off choir and they didn't have choir. It was like A+ parenting right here. And so Nathan lets Allie in down here, and Allie's telling me this like as she's going to bed. And I'm like, oh, so what did you do? And she's like, well, so I went upstairs and then I ran into Izzy and her mom, so we just went to Mass. And I'm like, oh, thank God for this community. Thank God for filling in for me. So Susan, thank you. I appreciate that. But I look forward to many, many more years of filling in with each other. I couldn't be more blessed to be walking with you all in this journey. It is indescribable, quite honestly. In closing, we're going to say the stewardship prayer together because it really does kind of encapsulate everything that we're talking about. Dear Lord.
Dear Lord. My prayers to those people like me. I know what it is. It will be friendly and kind. Its views will be filled. I help fill them. It will do great work. I work. It will make generous gifts and many causes. I am a generous giver. It will bring other people into worship and fellowship. If I invite and bring them
coming tonight. If you're a school parent, packets are in the back, and the Schrock Shop, what more could you ask for? Thanks for coming.